Welcome to Vine's View. In the summer of 1994, a small group of people sat around a kitchen table, much like we are here today, and discussed how to create a safe and effective way to help their neighbors. And thus, Vine Faith in Action began, by developing a simple organization where volunteers who wanted to help were matched with people who needed a helping hand. Throughout the years, the organization has grown to fit the needs of those looking to age to the max, caring for themselves and others regardless of their years or means. Vine provides older adult services directed at keeping them happy, healthy, and living independently in their own home for as long as possible. These services include chores, transportation, peer mentoring, Meals on Wheels, medical equipment loan, caregiver support, and social, educational, health, and fitness opportunities. Each month, we will be showcasing a different program or service that Vine offers in the greater Mankato community. This month, we'll be talking about Vine's Adult Day Respite Center. With us today, we have Mary, the Vine Adult Respite Center Director, Vine volunteer Elaine, and Enid, whose husband attends the Respite Center. Welcome, ladies.
Hi. Thank you.
Mary, can you start off by telling us a little bit about the Respite Center and how it got started?
Sure. I've worked with family caregivers at Vine for many years and kind of walked the journey with them as they care for a loved one. And what we identified as a need was that caregivers really needed a break from their caregiving responsibilities, and also people that attend the Respite Center are kept actively engaged the entire time that they're there. So we stimulate their mind, their body, we exercise, we do a lot of reminiscing because most of the people who come have a cognitive issue of some sort. So while people attend the Respite Center, we have a nurse on staff, we have an activity coordinator, and we have our volunteers who come every day. And we do a lot of arts and crafts, singing, and we have therapy dogs come, and other people who will come to sing to us. Singing is something that's very important for people who have a cognitive issue.
Okay. And what are some of the benefits for people who do come to the Respite Center, both for the person who's coming as well as the caregiver?
I think the biggest thing is when you have a diagnosis of a cognitive issue, that you don't isolate yourself, which I think people have a tendency to do. And there's still a lot of life to live when you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's or Lewy body or Parkinson's. And so you really need the socialization and the interaction with other people to keep your mind sharp. And we find that that makes a huge difference for the people that come. And for our caregivers, it's a great break for them to be able to get some things done around the house, or just to be able to relax and go get a massage or meet friends for lunch.
Mm-hmm. And where exactly is the Respite Center located?
The Respite Center is located in the Vine Adult Community Center on the second floor. We have a private entrance that is for the respite program and for the Vine staff. And so caregivers bring their loved ones and bring them right into the door and drop them off at the Respite Center and come and pick them up there.
Okay. And how often is the Respite Center open for people to use?
We're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
And Enid, your husband attends the Respite Center, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, he does.
When did you decide that it was a good time for you to bring him to the Respite Center?
In the late spring, early summer of 2016.
Okay.
And he needed to be out and with people to socialize, and I needed a break so that I could go make doctor appointments, get together with girlfriends, or go home and quilt.
Mm-hmm. So it gives you that break.
It gives me a break
that you need.
Yes.
Okay. And how often does your husband attend the Respite Center?
He goes 2 days a week.
Okay.
And I asked him if he'd like to go more, and he said no. But he said he liked the two. In this spring when we came home from Arizona, that's the first thing he asked is, when do I go to Vine? He was looking forward to it.
Good. And when he goes there, you said 2 days a week. How long is he there typically?
From 10 till 2.
Okay. And was it a family decision to attend Respite, or how did you even hear about the Respite Center?
Well, I went investigating because I did volunteer in another respite center.
Okay.
And so I knew what it involves. And Vine felt like the right placement for my husband. They have a lot of volunteers helping, and I felt it was more fit his needs, and it did. It really did.
And Elaine, how did you start volunteering for Vine and the Respite Center?
After I retired, I needed to be around people. And I've always been one of those people that likes to take care of others. And Vine had helped my mother-in-law when she was living in her own home. So that's how I became acquainted with Vine. And it was one of those organizations I called and said, how do I volunteer?
So you just help in the Respite Center, or have you helped in other parts of Vine
I help
as well?
in the Respite Center on a regular basis, and then when the need arises as a receptionist or answering phones, whatever, Elaine, can you help us out?
We always call in Elaine. And how often are you in the Respite Center?
I'm only in the Respite Center 2 days a week, 2 days a month.
Okay.
And yeah, basically from 10 to 2, and if the need arises, I can go in oftener. But
Okay. And what is it exactly that you help with while you're in the Respite Center?
whatever needs to be done. A big part of what we do is getting to know the people that are participating, get them to talk about various things, you know, whether it's sharing the local news or whether it's them going back in the past and telling us stories of, you know, there's a lot of different things. Sing along with them, play some games where you get bonked in the head with a beach ball, and, you know, which they like. They enjoy those activities.
Okay. Mary, when would you recommend people who are interested in attending a respite center or sending their loved one to a respite center, when do you recommend they start to plan that?
I think as soon as they have a diagnosis. What we know about people who are diagnosed with a cognitive issue is that it's been occurring in their brain sometimes decades before we see it in their behavior every day. So you cannot start coming to adult day soon enough. I think it's very important for people to get involved right from the start, to get used to other people taking care of your loved ones and being there. I hear a lot from married couples that, you know, we get sick of each other, you know, just talking to we're retired, all we have is, you know, each other, so it's good for them to get out and meet other people right away.
And how often would you recommend, or does it kind of vary on the person that people attend?
We like to suggest at least 2 days a week, because so they really feel like they're part of the group. Some people, you know, they're tired after 4 hours, and some people are able to stay for 6.5 hours and be engaged, and that's okay. So we kind of watch as the person progresses and as they come. Sometimes they just they need to come less for the time period because they get tired. So everybody's different, right?
Yep. And how many people do attend the Respite Center?
Well, we are licensed for 26. I don't think we could ever have 26 people in there at one time. I think that would be a little too overwhelming. But we have about 8 to 10 people a day that come, and that's kind of a good number.
Okay. And can you describe a little bit about what is in the Respite Center and what the setup is like as far as the rooms and atmosphere? Sure.
It's a beautiful facility. There's lots of windows, so there's lots of sunlight. We have tables set up on one end of the Respite Center where everybody comes in the morning and has coffee and a treat and just visit for a while. We also have a beautiful patio outside, which we like to take advantage of in the nice weather months, where we have tables with umbrellas, and we also have raised bed gardens that people can pull weeds and plant flowers. And last year we had some tomatoes, and we would go out every morning and pick some cherry tomatoes and bring them in and have those for our treat in the morning. We have a little kitchen area. We don't cook there. We have our meals catered in. But we also have a quiet room, which has a bed if sometimes people are just tired or they get overstimulated, just need to get away a little bit where it's quiet. We have a shower room there where we can shower people. Sometimes that's very helpful for caregivers. As the disease progresses, it's just easier for us to be able to do that. We also have like a living room area where we have recliners and reclining couches, and that's where we do exercises. We do singing there. We have a piano, and our nurse actually plays the piano for everybody every day. And we have therapy dogs that come, and so that will be in that carpeted area, we call it. So it's quite a large facility. We have, of course, everything is accessible. Our restrooms are large, and we're able to help people in there if they need that, require that help.
And how many staff members are at the Respite Center?
We have our activity coordinator who comes, and our nurse, and then we have a respite aide, a couple respite aides that come in to help.
Okay. And then you always have a handful of volunteers.
We always have
to
a
help.
handful of volunteers, and we don't expect them to help in the bathroom, or there are some things they can't help with, but they're just great to have there. They're very helpful to us.
And are you always looking for volunteers, or is there a certain requirement for volunteers to help?
Well, the one requirement is to commit to a 4-hour period, and sometimes that's a lot for folks. But because we're dealing with a population that we are with progressive illness, it gets to be overwhelming and a little bit confusing if we have people coming and going and not staying that 10 to 2 period. So if you think that you're interested and would like to try it, give us a call. We're always looking for volunteers.
Elaine, could you talk a little bit about your volunteering experience and kind of what you get out of it too?
It's awesome. There's such a feeling that comes from getting to know the people that are there, getting to understand a part of their life and how they got to the situations they're in, and it's just a good feeling. You laugh with them. Some days you cry with them, but it's all part of the game. But they love the singing part of it. Some of them have beautiful voices, and they love when you get into those old songs and we keep them going, and it's just a good feeling. The 4 hours passes very, very quickly.
If you could give advice to someone who's interested in volunteering, what would be your words of wisdom?
Come on up. There's nothing better than actually coming and watching what goes on. That's the best way. And maybe you only have 1 day a month, or maybe you have more, but those 4 hours they give you a good feeling. And it's good to walk in, and the guys and the gals will say, "Well, Elaine, how are you today?" You get to know them by name, and they like that. They like that familiarity that comes with that.
And Enid, could you talk a little bit about when your husband started attending Respite? Did you see a change at all in his behavior, or?
Yes, he was happier, I think, and more alert. I think because he's a people person, he likes to be with public, and so it keeps him more stabilized, I guess you'd say. And with it, he really enjoys it, and so it makes me happy.
Yeah. What about you? Has there been a change in you since he's been able to?
I'm more relaxed.
Yeah,
I can not worry about when am I ever going to get those groceries, or I'm going to make that doctor appointment for me. As a caregiver, it's hard to find time to take care of yourself, and this gives me time to take care of myself. and it's also taking care of him because he is in a place where he can visit with friends and comes home bubbly about things that have happened during the day.
Would you recommend the Respite Center to others? You said you had
Oh, yes.
kind of looked at other respite centers in the area and you chose Vine. Can you say why specifically Vine kind of stood out?
I can't tell you exactly, but it just felt right. I know the other ones are good because I have volunteered at at another one, and they're very good. They all have their place, but this one felt right for my husband, and so I brag about it a lot.
Mary, could you talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit about the actual respite center, but sometimes you go outside of just the respite center and utilize the building of Vine and even some transportation outside of the respite center as well?
Yes. When we can, we like to go up to the walking track. There are people who really like to walk, and that's a great place to go regardless of what the weather's like outside. So we will take a group of people that want to go, and those who don't want to go will stay back with another staff person. We have attempted a couple of outings. Last fall we went to the dam store and had pie, and that was quite a treat. We do have a Vine van that is wheelchair accessible. We also have a bus that's wheelchair accessible, so we can take people out. And this year we hope to do a little bit more of those outings.
And you can pick people up if they need transportation to the respite center as well?
Yes, we can pick people up to come and take them home. We have to fit them into our transportation schedule, but we are actually, this year we're providing more transportation for our participants than we have in the past. And I think that's another thing that is helpful to caregivers, if they can just get up in the morning and get their loved one ready and not have to get in the car and, and after this last winter, shovel the sidewalk or shovel themselves out so they can actually leave. It's very helpful if we provide transportation for them.
And can you talk a little bit about the cost of, and the different program or discounts or whatever you want to refer to them as are?
Sure. Our cost is $14 an hour, which is very competitive in the market. We also we have many veterans who come, and if they are eligible, they will pay for 2 6-hour days each week, which is very helpful for caregivers. We also take state waivers that will come through the county that can pay for those services, and we have long-term care insurance that we can also take. So there's many options, and it's really money well spent when you consider $14 an hour might sound like a lot of money. Just to get somebody to come in and do some home health or whatever, that cost is a lot more. And then of course, looking at nursing facilities or assisted living and memory unit, those are very steep prices. So really the benefits of adult day are to keep people at home as long as possible. By keeping them engaged and giving the caregiver a break. That's usually when I see caregivers really say, I can't do this anymore, as if they're, if they're up all night and they're not sleeping, or they're doing a lot of laundry because there's some incontinence issues. Even if those things occur, but they know that they have a break, it's very helpful and beneficial for them.
Elaine, could you talk a little bit about some of your favorite volunteering activities? I know you mentioned the singing.
The singing, excuse me, playing games. They love to play games. They get very competitive. They like to, excuse me, they like to show their strength and I also enjoy their stories. They tell lots of stories, and when every day we start with, we do go through the newspaper and keep them informed and get their ideas, their contributions to things that they remember, go through and, okay, what's happened on this day 20 years ago, and, you know, this type of thing, which even educates me to know, oh, I didn't know that's what that was, you know, so.
So you're learning even
I
from going
learned
there.
too. I learned too.
And Ina, could you talk a little bit about the cost savings, I guess, of being able to keep your husband at home rather than having to bring him to a care facility?
Oh, yeah, I have caregivers at home, so it is a lot cheaper and good care both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so it helps me be able to keep my husband home.
Yeah.
And
that's important to keep him home?
Yes.
And he wants to stay home?
Yes,
too?
he wants to stay home, and at this stage, he really would be, it would be very hard on him to be putting him in a home.
Mm-hmm.
He needs his home care at home. And so this takes a burden off of me to do it this way.
Do you have family that can also help you, or are you kind of on your own?
I have a daughter
caregiving?
that lives we live on a farm, and I have a daughter that inherited my husband's mother's house, which is on our place. So she's in the same yard, and she's over every day to check on mother and help me with little problems. Mm-hmm. Because I can't discuss and cares or repairs on the house and the yard with my husband anymore. I have to make decisions on my own, and we always did things together.
Yeah.
So this way I have a sounding board.
Yeah, that's helpful. And some people don't have family nearby, and how
and
difficult that would be.
It'd be very hard. I don't know how I'd do it without my family. Mm-hmm. And my kids are all fairly close, so they can come out and be with us quite often.
Mm-hmm.
The one sad thing is when a participant gets to the point where they no longer can be a part of us at that community, it's hard. You know, we'll come in and say, where's so-and-so today, and find out that they've had to go into a nursing home or whatever, and you know, because you become attached to these individuals. They become just like your grandpa or your dad, you know, kind of thing. And so that's the hard part of the volunteering.
Yeah, is saying goodbye to those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But at the same time, you realize that you did some good for them while they could still be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you would like to add about the Respite Center, Mary, that we're not covering or we missed?
Just come and check us out. Come for a tour of the community center, and if you're interested in the adult day program, just ask for Mary W., and I'll be glad to give you some information and share with you.
So if people want tours, they should schedule tours in advance. They can't just show up.
Yes, it's
building.
helpful to know a little bit in advance so that we're prepared and we know what's going on in the Respite Center at that time. Yeah.
Do you ever turn someone away if maybe their disease is too advanced, or is it or how does that happen if you see someone that maybe is far beyond the Respite Center's care?
You know, we haven't had to turn anyone away as of yet. We will work with families because a lot of times things will happen, and maybe they can get some help from their doctor, their physician. Our nurse is just really, really on top of what's going on with folks, and she notices any slight change in behavior, and she's very much on top of it. So we really try to work with families as best we can and offer different alternatives. We will suggest, I guess, you know, that maybe it's time for them to go somewhere if they're not able to stay as long as they have in the past in the Respite Center, or sometimes behaviors develop that if they're endangering our other participants, we might have to ask that they not come, but we haven't had to do that yet. We just would like to work with families, and we like to keep people there as long as we can. So.
Anything else you ladies would like to add about either volunteering or bringing a loved one to the Respite Center?
It's just to say it's a good place to go. It's pretty and it's open, and the people, caregivers are really good there.
It's good, you know, with all those windows, it's fun to sit and watch the flag waving out there, look over at the courthouse, or look out on the patio when it gets green and the flowers are blooming. It's a very homey kind of a feeling.
Or the cars coming and going out of the parking lot too.
Oh yeah,
Very
there are
entertaining.
days they sit and they watch, you know, oh, there's only one parking place left out there.
Who's gonna get it?
That person's driven around 4 times, but no, but that's part of it. That's, you know, makes it, I don't know, the word isn't fun, I'm not sure what the word is, but you know that they're alert enough to care and to take part in it.
They're home away from home.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's the way to put it, Mary. Thank you.
Well, thank you ladies for joining me today. Well, that's all we have for today. If you'd like to learn more about the Vine Adult Respite Center, please visit vinevolunteers.com, or you can give Mary a call at 507-387-1666. Thanks for tuning in today, neighbor. We'll see you next time.